And so let's start out. So can you tell a little bit about yourself, your own background?
Yeah, gladly. My brand is simple. I'm Jordan from Jordan. I came to the States in the 1900s, last century, as a student, and was lucky enough to I think God just liked me, so he gave me jobs that prepared me for what I'm doing right now. And I worked in manufacturing and software development. I worked for large corporations, small corporations. And then one day a recruiter called me and says, I want you to come and interview with this company. I'm like, what's the name of the company? He goes, Cisco. I'm like, I've never heard of them. And I was in the Midwest. So I came over here and got a job offer and did very well there. I was there for 14 years. There was probably 4 or 5 days in the 14 years where I didn't want to be there, but the rest of these years were just amazing, awesome. Then retired in 2015 and decided to do the startup business. The last couple of years at Cisco, my job was to look at companies, work with them, evaluate them, and then eventually decide, give recommendations, what to acquire, what not to acquire. So I stumbled upon this startup business in 2014, 2015, and here I am. I did it for a year and I absolutely hated it. Being a founder is the toughest thing in the world, and I kid you not, it's tough. It may sound glamorous on HBO and Cinema X, but it's far from glamorous. It's hard, brutal, grueling work. Spent a year in India working there as a COO. Company ended up exiting, and then I joined a group called Bay Angels, and I did really well there. The company was suffering, Bay Angels, and we brought them up. And I learned a lot about investing through working with individuals, met a lot of great people, awesome people. And here I am. This morning I was shaving and I was thinking, what do we talk about? There's about 8 billion people in the world. I think the entire venture capital startup system is less than 2 or 3 million in total. And if you think about that, we are a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of a percentage worldwide. And while there's a lot of us, the blessings of being in this ecosystem is absolutely incredible, especially if you are doing what I do, where you talk to different people all the time. So that's my background. My first job was on the ranch. We had a small ranch in Jordan. Every summer when I was 5, 6, and 7, 6 and 7, I would go there and spend 3 weeks with my grandma. And my job was to look after the goats and the sheep. I would be a few hundred yards away and they would be grazing. And my job was just to look after those creatures. And what I learned from it was incredible. I'm capturing that learning now, but it was a big responsibility for a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, but I tell you, I learned a lot, and it was a great experience. So that's who I am.
So Jordan, so in the Valley, you deal a lot with these competitions, a unicorn battle, startup network, et cetera. But if you look at the companies around the world, what are some of the key? If you look at the top 3, and I know we talk about team a lot, but what are some of the elements of success that they need to really be aware of, and that Silicon Valley can help or enhance? And I don't mean just as a place, but as a mentality.
Well, after COVID, before COVID, we were saying Silicon Valley is not just a place, it's a mentality. Reflecting on before COVID, during COVID, and now after COVID, it is also a place. And being here physically, not all the time, but physically, and engaging with the peers, whether they are CEOs or founders or members of the startups, whether they are investors or accelerators, that physical engagement is essential to the success. And here's a reason why. Some of the folks on the call, I will not name their names. The first letter of their first name is Amos. I met him in a get together. And we connected in a meaningful human way. And that helped me understand what he's about as a founder and as a company, far more than this little Zoom thing we do all the time, and it's very transactional where you come in, you do it, and you leave. So key success, honestly, is be in an environment like Silicon Valley, where you are going to feed people around you for how and what and when it takes to be successful. This is essential to everyone's success. That's my one tip. If
Yes,
you're
I want to add upon that. So here's an interesting scenario. So I'll add to the story. So with Amos, so I met Jordan introduced me to Amos at the Rosewood, right? It was at the Rosewood, a hotel. And it turns out that he's from Boca Raton, Florida, which is about 25 miles south of where I am right now. So that's how small the world is. And here he is, a Yale-trained neurosurgeon, right? It created a company called MedMatch. So we went out to breakfast the next day at a birthday breakfast. We had a chance to talk about the kind of things he's working on. But these connections, these dots are important, no question about it. In fact, Jordan introduced me to Koreans, the Korean delegation, and also a senator and minister from Korea are coming to Salesforce on Monday. And because of that meeting that I had with Jordan, I got introduced to them, who asked me to speak at Salesforce on Monday. So I'm flying back out. That serendipity is really important, no question. This hybrid environment, what we're doing at GSD, which is we start off in a virtual world, but the key is we take it to the physical world. Why? Because Silicon Valley is a port to the rest of the world. Doesn't matter where you're from.
100%.
It just matters where you're going to go.
100%. No, absolutely. And the hybrid world is great because today, just this morning, I've been up since 4. I talked to somebody from Korea, somebody from Israel, somebody from Mexico, somebody from Colombia, somebody from Tunisia, and somebody from Denmark from here. So that's also extremely helpful for the current ecosystem because there are few barriers to connect. Yes, you want to be there in a human fashion, but me being able to go around the world in 4 hours is incredible. And as an investor and as a startup, maximizing the ability to access people in every part of the galaxy is a key to success for expertise, for money, for learning, and for networking. And
Well, there's serendipity. Let me tell you one other story. This is an interesting story. So I met my co-founder of Eva. And so I met him when I was in Russia. So I was in Moscow. I was on stage with Guy Kawasaki. Guy Kawasaki and we're speaking at a business school. I brought him over. Anyhow, I saw him. He's a Steve Jobs of Russia at the time. He moved since 10 years ago. He moved over to the US, but I met him over there. I was walking down the street in Palo Alto, California. I see him. He says to me, he's a billionaire. He says to me, I'm looking for someone to be a co-founder of a company that I want to start. Do you know anybody? And CEO. And so I said, sure, let me think about it. So 3 days later, I went back to him. We formed Eva. Imagine this guy's a billionaire, right? So we raised $20 million. We sold the company on May 4th of this year. Now, if I wouldn't have met him there, and I wouldn't have been walking down, and I can't tell you how many different people I see in Palo Alto too. It's incredible, but it does work. So having a presence, we have an office in Palo Alto too. So GSD, having an office, having a presence there is critically important. A place like that, and I'm not saying there aren't other places. Estonia is an incredible, where's Martin? Estonia is an incredible country, incredible place. But if you're looking for the capital, well, it's like fishing. You go to the place where the fish are. Keep it simple, right? So if you want to fish, it's a good place to fish. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. And just to add to it, before COVID, I used to think those conferences are just an occasion to party. It became that way. Then I went to TechCrunch last couple of weeks ago. And this morning I talked to a gentleman from Toronto. He's a family office and he's bringing in $1 to $5 million worth of investments per deal. There's zero chance Zero chance I would have connected with him had I not met him and was authentic and genuine in my interest in working with that person, Bill. That's another element of success. Be yourself, be authentic, be who you are. Don't be a jerk, but be who you are. And let those folks around you that you want to work with them, that you could use your help, their help, and vice versa. Because if anything that we learned from the last 2 years is you're as strong as your network. So a third element is build that tribe, build that group of people that would help you rise when you're down and got your back when you need them, and offer you, and you offer them back the same level of support and intelligence and help. Because if you had a good network, you probably survived COVID with flying colors. If you just operated as a lone wolf, I'm not sure how you have, I don't know how you did it. It wouldn't have been possible. There's a guy I used to sit with on conferences all the time and talk to and pick on him and just, you know, harass him. And then I met him in person one day and the whole thing changed. His name is Gary Fowler. He and I were on like 50
Wait a minute, I
meetings.
resemble that remark.
I know. Resemble that remark. We were on 50 sessions and just, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. And then somehow we met in person and everything just changed. So technology, money, all that, but your ability to connect with others on a human, meaningful, authentic level is extremely essential to your success.
So guys, I want to open it up to the floor for, thanks, Jordan. I want to open up to each and every one of you because I wanted to have this as a two-way conversation, right? We're from all over the planet. What questions do you have? You know, so let's talk about going global. What questions do you have? And let's have a discussion about them.
I have a question. Do I need to raise my hand?
Is it you, Amos, again?
Well,
Didn't we talk yesterday?
You mentioned,
Didn't we talk yesterday?
You mentioned my name only twice.
Go ahead, Amos.
So thank you. So it almost won't sound like Silicon Valley is the place to be, but are you saying it's the only place to be?
It's not.
Damn right it is.
It's
I knew that answer before it came.
it's not the only place to be, but it's one of the best places to be. And people say, well, why is that? And, you know, part of the reason because you have Stanford University there, and there's a history of building technology companies. So, and there, it's not to say there aren't great places. I mean, we do a lot of work in Israel. We do a lot of work all over the world, but it just happens to be, it's again, it's like fishing. You want to go where the fish are. And there happen to be, if you're in Palo Alto, 5 minutes from Palo Alto is Sand Hill Road, or 8 minutes. Sand Hill Road, you got probably half the money in the world's located there, right? Investment opportunities. So, and they get it. You know, it's not part of the problem in a lot of jurisdictions around the world is they believe that failing is a bad thing. But in Silicon Valley, the situations you get a chance. It's not about losing face. It's about standing up. It's not about thinking about the belief. It's about believing in your dreams and find people around you. Just like when Sanjay and I, we met in Miami, right, at an AI conference.
Yeah.
And we hit it off down there and we started to talk. You know, and it's kind of nice actually having, and yourself too, Amos, right? So meeting in California and then down here, but having people that think that are like-minded that can help you solve your problems, critically important. I mean, Sanjay, I mean, we had a conversation. Can I talk about the Meta thing exactly? Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we were in a conversation. He's not only now an accelerator company, he's also in our venture studio, right? And one of the things that we had a conversation about is he said, I'd like to meet, we talked about Meta, WhatsApp. Well, I said, just a second. Well, I happen to know one of the executives at Meta because I met him at the 18th hole of the golf course in Pebble Beach. Not because I was playing golf because I sucked, but because I was having lunch. And so I call him up. Well, it turns out, you know, he's really interested. Oh, by the way, he's an advisor for GSD. So then we start to talk about WhatsApp. John happens to be moving over to WhatsApp. So these kind of interactions are really important. The key is it's tough to find them. We, thank God we found each other down in Miami and we found each other out in California, Amos, but we need to go down through and enhance those connections, because the power of your network, that I told you guys, most of you and ladies, that the power in network is really important when you're looking at fundraising, because a lot of it's based on trust, like 95%, and probably 5%, in my opinion, the opportunity. So you need to come through a trusted network, people that understand you and know you and can vet you. Jordan and I were probably more than 100 or more than 50, probably 100, maybe 150 different events together where we've seen each other. We were at pitching events, talking to startups from all over the planet. But that kind of trust and credibility is important. And for you, listen, I'm not saying Silicon Valley is the only place that you can be. I'm just saying, if you're going to go fishing and you got a limited amount of bait, you want to go to a place where the fish are.
I agree with you, Gary. I'm going to use an analogy. You're going to laugh at me, but just hear me out. You want to be like the greatest fighter of all time, Muhammad Ali. You want to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. You sting in Silicon Valley. You land in there, you make the connections, but float to all the different capitals of innovation, whether it is Seattle or Texas or Boston or Austin or Israel or what Gary said is spot on. Ground yourself in the valley, because there's a high density of everything you want in there, but float to the other places, because you'll be able to contribute, access, and participate from a different perspective, a different point of view. And if I may just add one more thing, the valley is evolving. It's evolving at a very rapid pace. By definition, it's an innovative place. Recognizing the skills and the money and the talent that has been lowered through COVID and Zoom, and there's a lot of access to resources. We in the Valley are trying to say, how can we access those resources and grow who we are and even be better? You have a chance to do that. And not pitching GSD, but it's a nice ring to be in. You could actually spar and learn and do what you need to do, and then float outside and get more work done in wherever area you're in. So did that answer your question, Mr. Amos?
Yes, it did. I have another one, but I'll wait for others to ask first.
I'd like to hear from my favorite name, Wolfgang Rams. It's a great name. How did you get that name, Wolfgang?
I think you have to ask my parents. I don't like my first name very much.
I'll WhatsApp them in a minute and ask them, what do you have on your mind? I heard you smile and think. What's going on in your head?
Well, actually, I told you yesterday, no, on Tuesday, it was a great opportunity to speak to you. That I was dreaming about going to Silicon Valley since I was 16. I had all the places, all the companies on the map. But as I started in the telecommunication business and the mobile telecommunication business, that was one of the only things where European was advanced, like 7 years, at least until 2007, when Apple brought the iPhone on the market. So I thought it would be a better idea to stay in Germany in this quite advanced market. The only thing that was missing in Germany was the entrepreneurial spirit. Nobody read my business plans. They all believed people that do startups are crazy. So
we are crazy. We are crazy.
Yes,
Wolf. It's a given. Yeah,
that's true.
Exactly.
Any questions for us? Any thoughts? Any?
Yeah, and the question is, I mean, is there how much room is in the Silicon Valley for social entrepreneurship? Is it all about profit and big money, or is there also room for helping other people?
You want to tackle this one, Gary, or you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, the situation, I think the appetite is really going up, but you got to find the right kind of investors. Like, for instance, Philips has a social impact group, and the board, I think I told you, Wolfgang, one of the board members at Philips, Stanley, right, is a good friend, but you got to find the kind of people that have their heart and soul in the right place. You want to find the person that's not just about, it's not just about the social piece, it's actually about building the business. Because if you don't build a business with it, there's going to be a limited time that they're interested in working with you, right? Sure, they'll give you money and help you get started, but you got to figure out, you got to find those people that want to build sustainable, impact-oriented businesses. So people like my friend Stanley from, and I say from Phillips because he's really, I mean, they're on the cutting edge of it. In fact, they're getting ready to go down to Ukraine and start rebuilding.
Okay.
It's a mixture, Wolfgang. You know, it's like playing football. You got a blocker, you got a tackler, you get American football. The only kind of football there is until December. You got a
You mean the Los
blocker.
Angeles Rams, for example, right?
There you go. So your investment team is like a football team. You got some who are fully aligned with your mission and they're going to do what it takes to help you there. And these are the guys who are going to block for you and going to make sure nobody touches you. And you got some guys going to take off and run and, you know, receive the benefits they have, you give them and score for you. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's a mixture. And the reason I like a mixture because each one of them can offer something unique that the others may not have. So somebody who's aligned to your mission is great. Somebody who's purely capitalistic is also great because they're going to help you make more money, and when you make more money, you can help more people. Last thought is the world has changed substantially. There's a generational shift in the investors, right? The 30-some, 40-some from 10 years ago, they're becoming the VCs and they think differently and they operate slightly differently. So you're in the right spot.
Okay.
Yeah, the ultra, you know, we speak a lot to family offices, and those ultra high net worth individuals are really concerned about what's happening with the planet, from everything from global climate change to food issues, right? By 2050, you have to double the food supply to feed everybody and can't increase the number of cattle because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cows, right? The average temperatures around the world estimated up between 4.5 and 7 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this century. 80% of the fresh water is located in Antarctica. Population of Africa today is 1.4 billion. Population of planet 8.1, growing, right, to estimate over 13. We got a lot of challenges, and in order to solve these problems, this is my speech at the UN, by the way. I spoke at the UN last year about technology as a tool for peace. We need to solve these problems. They're really critical, and you know the impact of them, the social impact. You know, people are starting to get it. They didn't, just like they didn't. You know, they made fun of climate change. They're not anymore.
Just to add to that, there's a story and a point. The problems we're dealing with, they are by necessity capital gains opportunities. I tell you a silly story. I'm not sure if it's true, but I'm going to say it anyways. Chili's, if you know what Chili's are, it's a Mexican restaurant here in the United States, big chain. They were interested in affecting the climate change because it affected the growth of avocados, which is a mainstay in their menu. So think about that. They wanted to do something about climate change because the avocados are getting affected, they're not growing as blah, blah, blah. And this is, listen, this is core to our business. We need to take care of it. So back to what Gary was saying, these problems will offer tremendous financial growth opportunities for the investors. So they're not stupid. They're going to invest in the right things to make this a better planet to live, not because it's the right thing to do, but because there's a ton of money to be made in it. What do you think about that, Gary? Isn't that right?
Yeah, no, it's true. They want, that's what I said. It's like you know, you gotta, one thing, it's not just about charity, it's about opportunity. Agree.
One thing I like about the Valley is like how, in which, you know, I don't find in other places like, you know, maybe New York or Atlanta as much, is just kind of this more of a stakeholder approach to do things, not necessarily be a charity on one hand or be just, you know, ultra greedy and profitable on the other, but really say, let's take care of the planet, let's take care of employees, let's take care of customers. And in doing that, we build a great business that everyone in the planet benefits from.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I had on my show, I had a 4-star admiral, the #2 guy in the US military. His name's Bill Owen. He was in the White House with Clinton. And the guy's amazing. He said, I said, how did you become an admiral? He said, 11 years old, I watched a movie and I saw a guy in dress whites and I said to my mother, I'm going to be an admiral. And my seriously, and
I believe it.
he did it. And then he said to me, it was interesting. I said, what does it take to be a leader? I mean, to be the #2 guy in the US military, what does it take? And he said, Gary, I'm really glad you asked that question because I haven't been asked that many times. And he said, but compassion. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I was on an aircraft carrier, Desert Storm, and we were launching, we're going to send out our fighter jets. And a tear went down my cheek because I thought about and I was televised to all the crew, right? I thought about all the people's mothers and fathers that I was going to have and wives and children. I was going to have to write a letter to that said that they died because about 10% are estimated to die in those kind of attacks. And he said, and people saw it. And he said, when people know that you truly care about them and love them, and I don't say in a bad way, love them because you care, it changes things.
It does.
And I'll never forget that, right? It's about compassion. You look at it, bringing a little love to this planet. And it's great making some money, but bringing a little love and making somebody's life a little better helps all of us, right? And we're all here, right? Part of the reason that we put GSD together to begin with is to get down through and to create an incredible group, more like a SEAL Team 6 approach, but an incredible club of some of the best entrepreneurs in the planet Earth that can help each other. And it's actually with 121 companies from 52 countries around the world now it's coming together. So it's you control it. Now, the Silicon Valley experience, I don't want to say you have to move there. I'm just saying it's good to spend time there. It's good. We have a virtual office there and I'm out there a lot personally, but the situation is, I don't stay out there more than I'm out of there 6 months in a day because I don't want to pay taxes in California anymore because they're 12%. Right.
I'm going to call them. I'm going to tell them about you, Gary. We're done.
See? So you want to go down. You follow the rules. If the rules tell you how long you got to stay, you stay out, but you got to go down through and it's just about the access. So I'm not saying you got to go there all the time. You got to live there, but I'm saying you want to spend some time because absorbing that energy and that excitement and those opportunities to network are just phenomenal. I mean, literally, I was invited to go to Steve Jobs' wife's house on Monday with my wife for a Halloween party, right? And I didn't go because I just came back here. But I mean, what's the chance of that happening, right? And imagine who you meet. So put yourself in the opportunity to be able to, I was saying yesterday, I was on I read the book, The Secret, and there's some loose parts of The Secret and real parts, but this thing of law of attraction, you get what you want, seriously.
Yep.
It works.
It does.
You put your psychology, as a psychologist, we call it the self-fulfilling prophecy, Pygmalion effect, but it does work. Put yourself in, you want to be a $1 billion company and have a $1 billion exit, put yourself in that situation.
But do something.
Yeah, just
gotta do something about it.
You can't be just sitting on your hands. You got to get shit done.
Yeah, praying isn't going to get you there. The compassion piece is extremely relevant at this stage in your company's growth as a founder. You're probably one of 3 or one of 10 or one of 20. Without mentioning names, I worked with some companies in the last 2 years, and there's this very good technology, very good market, very good opportunity. But the CEO lacked compassion to his people. And when I say compassion, it's nothing extreme. He failed to reach out and connect with them in a compassionate way to let them know, I understand you're working hard. I understand you're kicking your rear end to get this work done. And I want you to know I appreciate it, not just by telling you thank you, just connect with the human in there. I was lucky enough to talk to some of the folks that were struggling, and the small connection on the phone or calling them every now and then in the morning says, good morning, how you doing? Or somebody had a broken car, we tried to help them. Somebody went to the hospital, we sent them food. That's not compassion, but the act of compassion you express to your team it really will get your company up, because at some point, each and every one of your team members is going to ask themselves, is it really worth it? And he says, you know what, Martin, I like Martin. Martin reached out to me and he connected with me. I'm just going to spend an extra 2 or 3 hours and get this stuff done, because there's a connection between me and Martin. There's a connection between me and Alexei. Don't underestimate the most important asset in your company, and that is the people. Because without them, you're just a man walking alone. You're not a leader. Gary, what's your reflection on that element, especially at this early stage of the
I
company?
mean, the situation is, the other thing is, you know, you got to show your team, you lead by example, right? I mean, that's when GSD, we work hard, right? Yesterday I put 12 hours plus in, 12 hours just on the phone. And you go down through, you got to work hard, but that's what it's all about. We all, you know, we have a great opportunity. We all have a great opportunity to win together. It's not just about one person, it's about all of us. You know, the Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole, right, Wolfgang?
Yes.
And so part of the idea is that, you know, we're all part of this thing, but we need to work together. We need to work as an organism. I can tell you with Click Software, we're a little tiny company from Israel, literally, called IET. Company was relocated to Campbell, California. We changed the name of the company, Click Software, came up with a family of products, etc. But everybody was working as the team. And listen, we had to continually innovate. You know, when we did, I did an ad called "Every Delivery Experience Has a Happy Ending," and this is when you were doing dicey ads back in the internet days, and you had to differentiate yourself. People were using RuPaul and all that, and we did it tastefully, but we did. I ran a $3 million ad, and we had to think out of the box, and it won. Right? We did an IPO on NASDAQ when the market died. The market died, completely died. It was when the bubble burst. We did an IPO. People said it's never going to work. You're going to die as a company. It's never going to work. And we looked at it. We went out and we did the IPO. We raised about $30 million. And that lasted us for enough time to get through 9/11 and the internet bubble bursting. And 4 years ago, sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. So your dreams can come true. But listen, it's like this. It's like a roller coaster. It's never easy. But the thing is, if you have a great team that supports you, you have to support each other when it's down and when it's up. You're never as bad as they say when it's down, and then you're never as good as they say when it's up. You're somewhere in the middle. You just hope it keeps going up a little bit each time, right?
It does. But on the other side, guys, this business of fundraising, that's not the purpose of your existence. You're not here to fundraise. Many founders, you know, you get off on that. You raise $1 million, you raise $2 million. It feels good. It feels great. But that's not what you're here for. It's a charging station. It's a gas station. You're on a journey. You pull over, you charge up, you gas up. That's where the money comes in. Maybe you buy Twix. Maybe you get a small candy bar from the store, enjoy it. But then you take off and start. Don't make fundraising a measure of success of who you are. Because at some point, you won't be fundraising, and the mission is the company. And if that becomes the mission, fundraising, then you're kind of missing it. Because I've said it twice. So it's exciting, it's sexy. You go to events, you get on stage, you get your name in TechCrunch or Crunchbase, but then what? Right? We're here to build a company, not to fundraise for the company. Gary, do you see that happen in your network?
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely.
Jordan, may I ask a question? What do you mean by company? Is it all about customers, all about your employees, your people? Define company.
Company in my understanding, my Jordan Shakespearean understanding, it's a group of elements that produces an outcome. People, process, tools, customers, ecosystem, etc. Not the LLC or the C corporation. So in the armed forces, company is a group of individuals that perform specific tasks, right? When you and I are together, oh, I've got company, I got people coming over. So it's not always about that. Hey, what's going on there, man? Come on, leave him alone. Let him listen. It's about the outcome of the business, not necessarily just the stocks and. Is that what you were asking, Martin?
Yeah, exactly. Because when we were talking about fundraising, I was constantly thinking about, the balance sheet is called a balance sheet because on the other sheet there is income, there are customers, basically customer value, and somehow we should generate that one. And talking about Silicon Valley, I mean, our ideal customer profile is very much a tech company, so ideal place to be in customer wise as well. So building a sales team, building a customer relationship ecosystem in that area is very important to us. So that's where my question came from. But what is company in your definition?
It's the same situation, Martin. When we talk about it with the customers, you're going to see the same customers in all kinds of different ways. I can't tell you how many times across multiple companies I've dealt with the same folks. For instance, I met this guy many years ago, and he was telling me he was going to do some graphics, Stanford graduate, really sharp guy, came out with this interesting technology. He and a couple of buddies lived in a townhouse and formed a company. I kept in touch with him. And so, over the years, as I was working with him, he's the founder of NVIDIA. Right. And so, if you know NVIDIA, I mean, I go to lunch with him when I'm out in California. I talk to him. The founder of Salesforce is my fraternity brother, Mark Benehoff. So he and I were at Talk Cap Epsilon together. And so you just keep in touch with folks, right? By the way, those friends that you have are the ones that are going to give you that trusted network to potential customers. They can do intros. Just like here, just now, Amos wrote a note and said he wants to connect with Runday, right? This is how it works. The one thing, so the Valley's a great place to do the networking, no question about it, because they're just like us here, right? They're just like us. They have technology expertise. They're fast-growing companies. They have incredible talent pools there in areas like artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, neural networks, Web3, metaverse, the kind of things that we're looking for. You're going to find that talent there. You're going to find people similar to yourself where you can learn. It's like playing tennis, right? I don't know about you, but I always like playing tennis with people better than me because I learn. When I play with somebody worse, my game sucks. And I'm not that good a tennis player, but I've taken a lot of lessons. So that's it. And from my perspective, just you want to spend time wherever that is with people that can become your customers, people that can become your partners, and where you can find some potential members, additional team members. The other thing is, I want to just say, you need to make sure that you treat your employees fairly, whatever that is, right? Treat them fairly, because word gets out very, very quickly. And you want to get into a situation where they understand that, that we're all in this game to win it. We're all in this game to help each other, and everybody gets rewarded.
And another anecdotal story. I worked at Cisco, and I was tracking them, and Cisco was doing okay till 96, 98. Then they offered the employee stock program. And if you look at their growth, I wish I had the graph in front of me. They were just growing at a decent rate. And when they offered that employee stock incentive program, they literally hockey sticked. And they were sitting at a few $1 billion in valuation at the time when they did this. And when they did that, it went up to 12, 14, 50, 60. Then at some point, there was some tax implications where they stopped offering that same program. Guys, every time I would go to a meeting at Cisco, there's always a question in the room that says, what do we have to do to raise the stock price today? Then when they stopped offering that incentive program, the questions became less and less, and eventually nobody asked that anymore, and the company plateaued. The secret isn't in the stock option. The secret is how do you treat your employee in a way where they feel compelled to make your company more successful because they truly, truly, truly own a piece of the company. So, being a little stingy with stock initially, it doesn't feel great to give it away, but I promise you, if they feel they own the company, they will step up for you.
May I add
G,
something?
yes, sir.
I think one thing needs to be added that, in addition to the stock the people might own, they mentally own the company as well. And you have to know it and appreciate it. The people who have walked miles with you, they might have like a mental ownership of the company. And I have an experience. We did here in the Baltic countries a M&A that led to a unicorn that was a financial institution, and basically the company has been in deep shit. Pardon my language, but in deep shit after that M&A because external management was bought in. I was happy to be in a management board and exited. Soon after the merger was closed, it was sold to Blackstone, the USA. The thing is that people mentally own both companies who were merging, but the new neutral management board didn't appreciate that. They brought in a lot of external people, didn't listen to the existing people. They had their own goals, and everything went downhill really quickly because people didn't want to let go of their like companies that they mentally owned, or they wanted to do the M&A on their terms, and that was not mapped or acknowledged. So that was really interesting to see that there were no stock initiatives or anything, but people were really owning the companies, and those were large, Nordic, Northern European. Local institutions, just the branch offices, I would say. So, interesting thing that people might get emotionally attached to stuff.
You're on mute. We can't hear you, Jordan.
I understand. Thank you, Gary. And so, speaking of letting go, falling in love with the product is nice. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But eventually, you've got to listen to what the market is telling you and do that switch or change or pivot. Many a time, the founders are in love with the product and they just got to make it work come hell or high water. And sometimes it works. But a smarter founder is the one who listens and understands that, hey, it's a great product. It's just not a good fit. Let's do something different or something else. And Gary, you probably have a lot to add on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's you need to use the customer discovery, right? You got to make sure it's validated. And one of the secret tools that I've used is that I'll go out with a product or service, and I'll actually go out and I interview 50 people. I'll put a PowerPoint presentation together, make it look like the product or service that I have. And I'll walk down the street. I do this in Palo Alto a lot. I'll go to cafes, I'll go to restaurants, I'll go to Starbucks, and I'll ask people if I can have 3 minutes of their time, and I'll do a little pitch for them, and I'll record it with my phone. I have a little stand, this here, and I'll take the stand with me. I don't know, you can't see it. Yeah, I'll take it with me, and I record it, and I'll send it back to my engineers so they can see exactly what the customers are saying. And what happens is, it takes those iterations rather than developing a product and find out somebody doesn't want it, or it should have some other features. It dramatically reduces that time, right? It helps you validate a lot sooner. And I know, Jerry, you're doing that up in San Francisco right now with your pilots and things, but it surely saves a lot of money. Go ahead.
What does Jerry do?
Oh, hi, Jordan. Gary, sorry, Jordan, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fijo Technologies. So Fijo is the next generation rideshare. So we're essentially democratizing and simplifying the Uber market. So the big differentiator with us is that the driver earns 100% of the fare instead of just 60% with Uber and Lyft. And we also have give the both the driver and the rider a sense of security because both of them can select each other.
I see. I like that idea.
Yeah, and we have a pilot program going on in San Francisco since the beginning of the year. So and we are self-funded. So that means our marketing has been very limited, but we have acquired 500 users, about 200 drivers and 300 riders.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so what we're looking for now is we have a team of 15 advisors, and 3 of those advisors are actually come from general manager from Lyft, a manager from Uber, and a ex-CEO at InDriver, which is very popular around outside the US with about 50 million subscribers. So essentially, our platform is SaaS, and Fijo will earn its revenue through subscriptions and ads, and probably market some of the data.
It's the evolution of the industry. I love it. I really do. Really do. Well, I think we're a few minutes to go, right, Gary?
Yeah, we got 3 minutes to go. So can you wrap it up and then
I'll wrap it up with a shameless plug and then whatever words of wisdom I may have. I used to run Bay Angels and we did well there, but the evolution of funding other than VCs and family offices, there's something called syndicates. And if you're familiar with that, it's an opportunity for you to engage a much wider audience of people through 2 or 3 individuals. Network VC is a syndicate I'm a part of. If you're listening and you'd like to listen and join us, find me. Syndicates allow you to process your need relatively quickly and get some amounts of money, anywhere from $100K to a few $100,000, depending on who they are. And on your cap table, you have 1 line item, and under it, you can have 10 investors, you can have 1,000 investors. This is not crowdfunding. It's a very specific way to do this. Why do I recommend it? Besides the fact I'm a partner in one. It's the next evolution of the retail investor participating in your success through a syndication. And Gary knows all about that, and he probably shared with you in his accelerator. Guys, listen, being a founder is the toughest thing, one of the toughest things in the world. It's a lonely job. It's difficult. It's a lot less glorious than it looks. But you want to do an 8-to-5 job? Really? No, you don't want to do that. You want to do something, build it 3, 4, 5 years and go do something else, and then do it and go do something else. You may make millions, you may not make millions. But the beauty of being a founder is you're able to make a big change somewhere, in whichever place you want to make a big change in. And the most important thing about it is you get to talk to Gary. And who would say no to talking to Gary?
my wife?
Candidly, I was given an opportunity to make a lot of money 3 months ago with a big cloud service provider. And I said no, because I want to be in this space you're in. Talk and engage with people like you, because you are making the world a better place to be. So thank you for doing this. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, Fatima, you stole my thunder. What was up with that? I love her. What's her name? His name?
Her name is Zahra.
Afra. God bless her. Yes, a
Thank
future
you.
entrepreneur in the making. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Gary. I hope that was useful. to you
No,
guys.
that's great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much.
I came for the beginning. I'm back for the end.
Oh, is that Amos?
This is Amos.
Good timing.
All right.
It's like a Florida guy. That's
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
Floridians do.
So,
I wanna-
Gary, I'd love to connect with Randai. He's doing the AI, right?
Yeah, yeah. Remember
Yeah.
I told you about him. So I already mentioned about it. When you were off, I actually said something. I mentioned that, so I saw the note, but yeah, Sanjay would be great. I mean, he's looking for opportunities and partners to work together, and I think it would be interesting.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
Very
awesome.
least
I know. What was his name? Jordan. That's wanting me to hear me talking about other projects. Let's get this one done first, right?
Yeah,
But it's good to have it in the cooking pot,
Yeah, no.
there may be APIs to connect it. There may
Well, I
be
mean,
some.
he's in Miami too, so you guys aren't too far.
Oh, that's
from each-
fantastic. I would love to connect with him and start talking about that idea I shared with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. So let's talk
Super.
about it.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
Thanks,
so-
guys.
Yeah, for each and every one of you, I want to thank you one more time for coming again for GSD Network. We're here. Let's go out together and get shit done. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to write Nick or myself. Reach out to Jordan, reach out to each one of yourselves here and connect with each other, because the power of the network is what's important in driving us forward. We have 121 companies in GSD today and growing. We have some of the best advisors and mentors on the planet Earth. We have some of the most incredible companies, as evidenced right here today, from all over the world. They're going to really change the universe. Let's go do it. Let's go get shit done. If you got any questions or concerns, let me know. And stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And stay tuned for another exciting edition. We'll be coming back to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Gary. Thank you,
Great
Jordan.
stuff, Gary and Nick and
Thank
all
you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you very much. Take
Forward
care,
to
everybody. All
Demo day tomorrow.
right, go get
Yeah,
them,
demo
guys.
day.
Go get demo
Oh,
day.
yeah.
All right,
You betcha.
bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.